Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning, guys.
So, yesterday, my Dallas Cowboys won a Super Bowl. It was great. You could see it on live TV in the afternoon. It was a weird day for a Super Bowl, but it happened.
Let Jerry and Mike McCarthy tell you that you won the Super Bowl.
Oh, no. Here we go.
I'm surprised you weren't there.
Yeah, I felt like I was there in spirit. Here we go.
Say about that, I cannot wait to dive into today's show. Are LeBron and Anthony Davis really getting along as well as they want us to believe, like best friends forever kind of thing? And we've got a surprising twist coming out about Belichick and Brady's future in New England. But first, we are going to start with the Dallas Cowboys, who officially introduced Mike McCarthy yesterday as the 9th head coach in franchise history. Everyone was in good spirits in the nearly hour-long media session that also included the Jones family and had several current Cowboy players in attendance. McCarthy even took the opportunity to show off his sense of humor. Take a listen.
I'm having a moment here because I don't know where the hell to put my hands. I never sat at a table for a press conference, so excuse me. Second thing, I should have brought my typed copy of notes like Jerry did. I was trying to be slick and slip this in on you.
Right as we walked through the door, Troy Aikman was the first pick in the draft. And the Dallas Cowboys had the first pick in the draft. And the Dallas Cowboys needed a great quarterback to start. Yes, we needed Mike. We needed a coach. But to have his availability and to have his track record and ability to check all the boxes that I just talked about was fortuitous for this franchise.
Well, Shannon, are you buying what the Cowboys were selling yesterday?
I'm buying it right now, Skip. It's the honeymoon. Skip, can I ask you a question? Was Mike McCarthy available at the 2019 season? Was he available at the beginning? Oh, he was. We talk about it a little later.
Well, but they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again.
So, yeah. Okay.
Again.
Yeah.
They're about to do what the Patriots have been doing over the last 20 years. Skip, this is the honeymoon phase. Everybody is saying all the right things. Jared, fortuitous. I wouldn't say that because even before you purchased it, they had already had Troy Aikman. It's not fortuitous, Skip, that you lose all your games except one and you get the first pick in the draft. It's not like, a coin flip. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar going to the Bucks as opposed to the Suns because of a coin flip is fortuitous. You losing 15 games.
Okay, but sometimes you get the first pick and there's nobody there you really love, right?
But here's the thing.
There was Troy Aikman sitting right there available.
Okay. You weren't going to take Barry Sanders because you had Herschel Walker, who had just led what, Skip? He had just led the league in rushing, right?
Okay.
Then Herschel, so you don't need a running back.
Okay.
So all the other guys is, like I said, remember, I said you want the guy to score. Jimmy looks at it kind of like I do, Skip. Jimmy's looking at a guy that scores points. We need a quarterback. We don't need a running back. Remember, they shipped Herschel off.
Okay.
And got that boatload of that bounty of picks. So all things being equal, if there's a DB, a running back, a quarterback, an offensive lineman.
But Barry Sanders wasn't in that draft. It wasn't like you had to choose.
Yes, he was.
But Barry Sanders and Troy Aikman?
Yes, Barry was third.
Third in that draft?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Derek Thomas was fourth. Deion Sanders was fifth.
I was thinking of Tony Mandarich.
No.
The choice was between Tony Mandarich and
Tony was second.
Okay.
That's where because those four of the five went to the Hall of Fame.
Okay, I got it.
First ballot.
I got it.
So, yes, Skip. So, look, I understand what Jerry is selling. Jerry's trying to, and Jerry's great at this. You've made this abundantly clear. You know him better than any of us sitting around the table because you spent so much time writing books about Jerry. Jerry can sell anything. Jerry can sell.
Greatest super salesman I have ever been around. The most positive person I have ever been around, period, end of story.
P.T. Barnum ain't got nothing on
Nothing
Jerry.
on this guy. I totally agree.
Really?
So, Skip, look, this was a very cowboy-esque type press conference. If you didn't know better, you would swear Mike McCarthy was Beyonce or the Pope, the way people were hanging over the look at. I'm like, is this a press conference for real? Skip a press conference that you're introducing a coach and you got this wall to wall and the pomp and the pageantry and pomp that they got going. I'm like, really, Jerry, for this? He better win. He better win by 2 or 3 for the introduction that he got, Skip. Anything less than 2 Super Bowls would be uncivilized.
That is probably true.
But look, Skip, you know this is a honeymoon phase, and Jerry put a very, very positive spin. You notice he ain't mentioned anything about that 8-8 or the disappointment that came along with that. Because there's a reason. Was it fortuitous that you went 8-8 after you had said you were going to the Super Bowl? You and Steven said this is the most talented team since those teams. Was that fortuitous that you go 8-8 and this is why you're able to get Mike McCarthy? Skip, look. I get what Jerry's doing, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff with Jerry moving forward. But like I said, it was Jerry at his finest hour, being in front of the cameras, being able to talk and promise things he hasn't been able to deliver on in a quarter century. Okay. He believes that Mike McCarthy. If I'm Jason Garrett, I'm sitting back like, well, hold on. You let this man hire his whole staff. Everybody that's on my staff, you pick.
Interesting.
But now But you live and learn, Skip. You know, it's kind of like any relationship. If you're reflective, if you're in a relationship, Skip, and things go bad, you sit back, you're like, okay, what did I do? If you're reflective, you're like, oh, Shay's very reflective. Okay, could I have done something different? Could I have said it in a better way? Could I have done this? Maybe as Jerry's looking back, say, you know what? Instead of me filling his staff, I'm going to let him get the staff. Instead of me doing all this, I'm going to let other people. So hopefully he's learned. I don't believe it. And neither do you.
I don't think I've spoken yet. And now I'm going to speak for myself. Thank you very much. So I'm going to be up front, and I'm going to say that there were several laugh out loud moments, and we're going to talk about several of those in this press conference that I did not love.
Okay.
And I'll be the first to say there were some kooky old Jerry moments I did not love. There were some awkward moments, thanks to Stephen Jones, who was sitting next to Mike McCarthy and just laughing uproariously at nearly everything Mike said, a lot of it not funny.
Right.
And I'm like, what are you laughing at?
Was he nervous?
It's like a sitcom laugh track. I'm thinking, are you trying to make him more personable by just yucking it up at everything he said? It felt like it was like 2 a.m. closing time at the honky tonk after a bunch of drinks, right? And he's just laughing at everything Mike says, and Mike can be kind of deadpan, but I don't think he's exactly a comedian, right? Okay, so I'm going to give you all the above. But you can accuse me of getting conned by Jerry Jones once again. When I turned off my TV yesterday afternoon, I sat back and I said, I am buying what I just got sold.
Okay.
Because it felt authentic to me. And I must tell you that after all that I saw and heard, I do feel better about this hire now. And again, maybe I'm completely overreacting, but it hit home to me. Maybe the fan was coming back out in me, but Jerry made some very strong and valid points. And Jerry Jones got tears in his eyes as he was introducing Mike McCarthy.
Right.
I've never seen Jerry do that before.
Wow.
I have spent hundreds of hours around this man. I feel like I know him inside and out because I did sit with him to write 3 books, not 1 book, but 3 books, and he gave me nothing but time because Jerry does love to hear Jerry speak.
Yes, he does.
So not only did he get tears in his eyes, but he was losing his voice because he said, this is before the press conference even started, he apologized up front, I'm losing my voice, because he had been screaming so much in excitement, because he was so happiness, just pure joy about we got this guy who just happened to be available when I suddenly needed a coach for the first time in too long of a time, right?
Right.
And the other thing that struck me was, and I'm going to get to this in just a minute, as Mike McCarthy began to speak, he got tears in his eyes. And I feel like both tears from both sides were very real.
Agree.
This thing clicked. These guys fell in love. Again, is it like one night infatuation love? Is it honeymoon love? I don't know, but they fell deeply in love.
Well, here's the thing, Skip. When you alone, it's hard to understand. Am I in love or am I tired of being alone? Which is it?
Well, what if you told me 1,000 times? He loves Jason Garrett like a son.
He did.
So wasn't he in love there? Wasn't that love?
He was, but he wasn't alone. Sometimes, Jenny, you know, when you've been in a relationship for an extended period of time, you get out of a relationship, and because you've been in a relationship, what do? You go jump back in another one.
Yeah.
And it's not always wise to do it, Skip.
You could be right about that. But I do believe, after yesterday, that Jerry believes that Mike McCarthy will have Troy Aikman-like impact on this franchise. And by the way, a couple of days ago, Troy himself said, I really like this hire. The Cowboys picked the right guy. So Troy endorsed. Right. Troy's been really hard on this franchise, very objectively critical.
And I think Troy, Skip, being in the role that he serves here at Fox as the lead guy, talking to Mike McCarthy so many times in those production meetings, he gets an opportunity to peer into his mind. And you know what?
Troy also said he had breakfast with him this year when they did a game in Green Bay while Mike was obviously out of football.
Right.
You know, so he really was able to sit and look in his eyes. And he said, boy, he was really locked in about how he wants to get it right the next time.
Right.
So
that's refreshing to hear.
It is refreshing to hear. The Jerry quote that really hit home to me was the one that was actually defending what happened to Mike McCarthy in the bitter end in Green Bay. I have brought up repeatedly on this show, thanks to the Bleacher Report expose, just how bad it got for a Mike McCarthy who got complacent, who got stale, who started getting massages instead of participating in the Saturday walkthroughs, which is just completely out of bounds, who got a little full of himself, and who allowed the culture and the mindset, according to the article, to get soft, which just horrified me because that's exactly what Jason Garrett had allowed the Cowboy culture to get. And I felt like meet the new coach, same as the old coach. But it was the foxhole quote that Jerry responded to. And if we could hear it right now, it really ran deep to me about what he was saying about the coaches who just got hired and the one he just hired.
You got a choice. You can get in that foxhole with somebody that hadn't been shot at, had never been in a foxhole. You can get in there with somebody that's been shot at. Or you can get in there with somebody that's been shot at and hit and still going. Now that's one I want in there with.
Wow.
Okay, that ran deep to me because he's saying, basically, okay, so the Giants went and got a guy who's at the bottom of the sort of the rung on
the food chain.
Yeah, the bottom of the food chain for Bill Belichick.
Correct.
And Carolina went and got this college coach from Baylor who became the hot commodity, right?
Right.
But I didn't want those guys. I didn't want to go young. I wanted somebody in my foxhole who not only got shot at, but he got hit.
Right.
He got fired. And it rang true to me because what happened to Bill Belichick in Cleveland? Well, he got shot at and hit, right? And remember, Bill was there for 5 years in Cleveland, and they lost. They had a losing record for 4 out of the 5 years. And finally, they just said no to Bill Belichick. And he was losing in New England before Tom Brady fell out of heaven into his lap. So could this be sort of the Belichick? I'm not comparing Mike McCarthy to Bill Belichick. I'm just saying sometimes when you have a guy who's pretty successful, and Mike McCarthy, it was 10 years ago, but he won a Super Bowl. And he had a pretty crazily winning record in Green Bay, right?
Almost 48 games over 500.
Okay, 48 games over 500. Well, sometimes the second time is the charm because you learn from what you did wrong. And I think he learned a whole lot, which leads me to the first Mike McCarthy answer that I just loved. And it really hit me right in the heart because he was asked about his year away. And he said it was a year of reflection. And I heard humility. I heard a guy who had been shot at and hit and had learned a hard lesson from it. And he was talking about how his wife had warned him what was going to happen when he first tried to answer. This was the first question he got. Can we hear the response, please?
I just want to say thank you to so many different people. But I will start off with, this past year has been a year of reflection. My wife said I won't make it through 10 words. I think I got to about 6.
He was getting choked up. I'm buying. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm naive, but I think it was really hitting him hard. Not only did he get fired, but he happened to be at the right place at the right time because the Dallas Cowboy job opened up and I got it. I'm the one who got it, and I'm thankful. I'm grateful for this job.
Right.
I'm getting goosebumps talking about it.
Yeah.
You can say the fan is coming out of me, but I believe that he learned a hard lesson and that Jerry caught him at just the right time, just as Jerry caught Mike at the right time.
Well, Skip, I don't know how many people out there have lost their jobs, but it does something to you.
Well,
I mean, getting released from the Ravens, I'm like, hold on. I mean, 2 playoffs, we win a Super Bowl, I'll go to the Pro Bowl. I'm like, well, damn. Am I not any good anymore? I mean, what transpired? When I lost my job at CBS, I'm like, I go back and I'm like, well, damn, I thought I was doing good. It makes you reflect. It's like, okay, what could I have done differently? Could I have said something here? Could I have prepared a little better there? And Mike McCarthy's like, well, hold on. I know it's been a while since I won a Super Bowl, but I did win 6 division titles. I did go to NFC titles. And so now I'm looking at, and we're going to talk about this a little later, about what Aaron Rodgers said, that he thought Mike McCarthy would go somewhere where he had more general manager power, like powers.
Yep.
But the second time around, Skip, I was like, you learn, like, okay, if I'm ever back in a similar situation again, I'm going to approach it like this. I know I did some good things, but I'm going to learn from some of the things that maybe I didn't do so well. And so Mike McCarthy is looking like, okay, maybe I did get a little soft. Maybe I took for granted that I had a historically great quarterback.
True.
And I didn't prepare. I didn't become more creative like in the beginning.
I did not adapt to the times.
Right. And so now he's looking at, like, I got a golden opportunity to look at the roster, and it looks great. We got a few free agents. They got 3 big-time free agents they're going to have to do something with, Skip, and we're going to talk about that a little later. But I get where Mike's coming from, Skip, especially in a situation like this. And it's kind of like he got the Packers, but he resurfaces with the Cowboys. Normally, Skip, if you lose your job at you got to start over lower. You don't get to start. You get to start right back up here.
Okay. Which brings me to the next quote that hit home to me. And Jerry made a point that I had not let sink into my brain. And that was that this man did coach for 13 years a team that's kind of on par with the Dallas Cowboys as far as worldwide attention that the Green Bay Packers garner, going back to the Lombardi era.
They're called Title Town.
They're Title Town. So can we hear Jerry talking about that that appealed to him about Mike McCarthy?
In doing our research on Mike, we learned so much more about him and what he's about, and I'd like to share a few of those right now. We found him to be a man who has strong command of how to direct an NFL team and compete at the highest level. His experience in working with 3 of the greatest NFL quarterbacks to ever play the game. His depth of knowledge and how the NFL works in terms of the salary cap, free agency, and the draft. His contacts and long-standing associations with other key people throughout the NFL. His communication abilities and his relationship with players. His natural instincts for the game and how to get the job done. And also his familiarity in working for a storied and historic NFL franchise.
Okay, so, and it goes on to talk about that has global appeal.
Reach, yeah.
So his point was that Mike McCarthy knows what that pressure feels like, and he didn't crumble under that pressure in Green Bay.
Right.
And he made a joke about, I used to walk in every day and I'd walk past these statues until it was overwhelming, and I started going in the back door because I didn't want to walk past the Lombardi statue outside.
Curly Lambeau.
And Lambeau. And Jerry's point is that he knows he can handle the attention and the pressure that comes with coaching America's team.
Right.
Well, I hadn't thought of it exactly that way, but I think that's a strong selling point for Mike McCarthy.
It absolutely is, Skip. It was reported that when Tiger Woods was rising to prominence, he reached out to Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan was the only guy that could experience, that knew what Tiger Woods was going through. So Mike McCarthy, having coached the Green Bay Packers and Title Town and won a championship and Lombardi, if I'm not mistaken, the trophy that everybody's seeking in the NFL is named after the coach of Green Bay, the Lombardi.
That is true.
So you know what that represents.
By the way, your big brother played for that franchise, and you spent a little time around that franchise.
I did, and so I understand there's nothing like it. Because there's no other sport. You know, you got the Bucks and you got the Brewers down the road in Milwaukee. That's 90 minutes away. But when you talk about Green Bay, it starts and stops with the Packers. That's it. And look, there are other franchises. There's the Mavericks and there's the Rangers. Skip. I think the Stars, the Dallas. They got other sports. But when you play in Dallas, it's the Cowboys. It starts and stops with them.
Correct.
And having coached those guys, so he's coached Brett Favre, he's coached Aaron Rodgers. I think he was down there with I don't know if he was there with Drew. I think Drew got there after he had already gone.
He was the quality control. He was sort of Paul Hackett's assistant when he was the coordinator
Montana.
in Kansas City.
With Montana.
Yes. So he worked a little bit with Joe Montana. That's why Jerry said he's worked with three of the greatest quarterbacks ever.
So I get what Jerry's saying, and it could serve him well, Skip, because he understands there's pressure. When you coach at the storied franchise, Skip, their expectation is championship. You can't go to the Yankees and win 90 games and say, we had a great season. Yankees are about winning World Series trophies. Or if you coach at the Celtics or the Lakers, the expectation is the Larry O'Brien trophy. Well, you coach the Dallas Cowboys, they haven't won in a quarter century, but that's still the expectations. That's what their fans expect, even though they're delusional, kind of like you bought in yesterday. And Jerry, who's the greatest salesman to delusional people there is. So I said I liked it because, his resume speaks for itself. And we're going to see if he can maximize, because you believe and a lot of others believe that the Cowboys roster is as talented as any in football. The question is, what can he get out of it what Jason Garrett couldn't?
Well, and speaking of Jason Garrett, Jerry made the point that what clinched it for Jerry is what Jason told him even before he sat down with Mike McCarthy for the first interview. He informed Jason. Remember, they were going back and forth. Do I still want you? Do I not? Right. And he told Jason Garrett, I'm going to talk to Mike McCarthy. Well, you don't need to tell Jason that. You should have just let him go after the season ended. But still, he said that Jason's response was, he is special. He's as special as anybody you will talk to. And then Jerry made the point that my track record of attendance at owners' meetings, at combines, and at Senior Bowls is right there with any GMs in the league. And I do believe that. He will not miss it because he doesn't have anything else going on. He loves it.
He loves attention.
He loves the attention. But he has said, his point was, I have heard so much about Mike McCarthy for 20 years about he's this and he's this and he's great and he's this. And then when Jason said that, he's as special as anybody you're going to be able to find.
Yeah, that's family talking about it like that.
Bam.
Jason, you supposed to have assaulted him up. Oh, man, Mike McCarthy, that joke ain't
that speaks to his character
remember,
as well.
Jerry admitted they hired Mike McCarthy at the end of the first night's interview, which went on for 12 hours, and it went deep into the night, and you can believe that there are a couple of drinks being had.
That's why they're best friends.
That's why, and all of a sudden it's like, why not? He said, Jerry Jr. leaned over and said, what are you waiting for? And he said, well, this will look bad if we just hire him on the spot. We haven't done our due diligence. Have some other interviews. And Jerry Jr. said, when have you ever cared about what people thought about what you were doing?
Exactly.
So he just yelled to Stephen, negotiate, let's do it. He also called the agent Tracy. His name is Trace Armstrong, so it's not, that's Jerry.
He used to be president, head of the Players Association.
He sure did. And then Jerry told a convoluted story at the end that I did not like, and it sort of comes back to your point about honeymoon, but he told the story about how his sister once told their father, I'm sorry, but I'm going to divorce a husband that the father loved.
Right.
And he said, what's wrong? And she said, I just don't hear bells anymore, after they'd been together for a while.
Right.
And the father said, bells? He said, I haven't heard bells in 30 years with his wife, okay? And so then Jerry goes full circle back to, I heard bells.
Right.
Well, this is one night infatuation bells. This is not long-term bells. It's just like, I heard bells the first night. Yeah. Well, can I take that to my cowboy bank? I'm not sure about that, but
you hearing bells. Now you hearing bells.
I might be hearing
a lot of bells.
Like crazy bells, but bells, bells, bells. You don't remember Edgar Allan Poe, but that's a point. But anyway, sorry, but it's famous. You can look it up. But the point, he's going mad.
Right,
he's hearing bells, right?
Bells.
So the point is that it still all felt it might be honeymoon, but it felt real to me. And I'm starting to like the prospect, maybe because of Matt Rule and Joe Judge, of we got a real guy.
Yeah.
We got a guy who's really done this before.
Compared to them, you got Lombardi. Compared to those guys,
who might bring us a Lombardi.
Oh, man.
Yeah, like that.
Felt off.
I got a feeling you might be a little bit insufferable next year.
Maybe.
But how things change in 24 hours, right? I mean, how refreshing. It was authentic. It felt very authentic.
It did, actually.
The press
I was shocked by it. I didn't think I'd hear. I thought Jerry would just talk over him the whole time, but I liked what I heard from both sides.
I am with you. Are we all falling for
no,
it? Is
I'm
this
not.
the sales
I'm not. It's the honeymoon.
I'm falling
You
for
fell a
it.
little
It's the
bit.
honeymoon
Fell a
because I know
little
I think you were a little bit open-minded to this.
it's hard to. I don't know, Skip. If you get in an argument on the honeymoon, there's a good chance it's not going to last.
It's not a good sign.
So I mean, everything went according to plan.
That's true.
So far, so good.
No mercy.
During yesterday's introduction, Mike McCarthy gave a glimpse into his on-field plan for the Cowboys offense this upcoming season. First, he called Dak a, quote, great one, and said our offensive system will be built around making the quarterback successful. But McCarthy also squashed the perception that he ignores his running backs, praising Zeke Elliott and saying that the best way to have a successful quarterback is a great run game. So Shannon, who will benefit the most under McCarthy, Dak or Zeke?
Skip, I'm going to say Dak because this offense is very quarterback friendly. Let's just say I'm going to throw out a play. I'm going to say two-jet flanker drive. Okay, the flanker is going to come on a drive route, which is a shallow cross. That's one. You got the tight end coming across behind him on 12 to 14 yard, or 10 to 12 yard basic cross. That's two. That's not there. 1, 2, check down to the back.
You're doing West Coast.
I'm doing West Coast.
Okay.
I'm doing what Mike McCarthy's going to call.
All right.
And if you look at the last 35 years, no offense has sent more guys to Canton. Montana, Young, Elway, Favre, Rodgers is going to be there. Donovan McNabb and Jeff Garcia had very, very good careers. They were Pro Bowl. Donovan went to the Super Bowl. Jeff Garcia had a very good career in San Francisco.
Had a good career.
So why can't Dak? Dak can be a perennial Pro Bowl type quarterback that can get his team consistently in the playoffs. I think Donovan is close to what 40,000 yards, 45,000 yards. Dak can do that in this offense. Now the difference is that when you look at what we had in Denver with Mike Shanahan, we had a dominant back. Of all, Montana never had a back like TD. Favre and Rodgers never had a back like TD. Donovan never had a back like TD. So we ran the ball. Terrell Davis. We ran the ball a little bit more, Skip. And what helped us is because early on is that we had John Elway. TD was a sixth-round draft pick. It's like, we got to worry about Elway. We ain't worried about no sixth-round draft pick. And then all of a sudden, 1,500, 1,700. Well, we better start worrying about, but that's still Elway.
He was getting up there in
right.
years.
Yeah, that was year 12.
Okay.
And so now you have to worry. Now, how do we we stop this? If we sit back and play coverage, TD's going to rush for 150, 200 yards. If we put the eighth guy down in the box, Elway still can make plays with his arm.
Yep.
This is what a great luxury for them to have because in the West Coast offense, Skip, the short passing game was an extension of your running game. That wasn't for us. Our running game was our running game.
Yep.
And we threw the ball, play action, we put the ball down the field. So I believe Dak will benefit, Skip, because the reads are very, very simple. 1, 2, 3, get the ball out of your hands. Let your guys make plays for you. That's why you have a Jerry Rice, tremendous run after the catch. You had a T.O., tremendous run after the catch. Sterling Sharpe, guys that can run after the catch, Skip, will play well. I believe Gallup's going to play the X receiver, which is the open side, John Taylor. I believe Amari Cooper will play the Z, Jerry Rice, Sterling Sharpe, Terrell Owens. So, Skip, this offense is very, very, if you got guys that can catch and run, I believe they do. You got a quarterback. Dak Prescott is show every year. He's got a little better, a little better. But they got a Zeke. Zeke is the closest thing to TD in the running back up in the West Coast that we've seen. But I do believe Dak will benefit the most. But don't skimp on the carries to Zeke. Let Zeke get his 20 carries a game and watch this offense take off.
I just hope they come more creatively. I hope they come more unpredictably.
You don't want 8 of them on first down.
I do not want to see that, and I don't believe Mike McCarthy is built that way.
No.
He's not a run it on every first down of a play caller.
But he's never had a guy like Zeke now, Skip. Eddie Lacy was Rookie of the Year. Armand Green, Ryan Grant, they were good guys. But that ain't Zeke.
I just hope that next year Zeke turns back into Terrell Davis, and if he does, I'm good. You can hand it to him all game long because that man carried John Elway to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I do not think John would have 2 Super Bowl championships.
No.
He got them to all those other, how many, the other ones?
Got 3.
Three.
Got 3. 86, 87, 89.
And they just weren't good enough. They were good enough to win the AFC, but they weren't good enough to beat the NFC.
Right.
Okay. So before I get into my answer to Jenny's question, I want to refer to a piece that was written in The Athletic by Bob McGuinn, for whom I have a lot of respect, because he covered the Packers for 40 years in Milwaukee and Green Bay. And he made one strong point that will benefit both Dak and Zeke.
Yes.
And that is Mike McCarthy's mantra. He always preached that a coach, that the team becomes what the coach preaches hardest, and that he preaches turnover ratio. Protect the football, take away the football.
Right.
And this is a stunning stat about McCarthy's 204 games that he coached in the regular season in Green Bay. They were a plus 97 in those games. Jason Garrett coached 152 straight regular season games for the Dallas Cowboys.
Minus what?
Minus 2. Okay, now think about this. Plus 97 in more games coached to minus 2. So Jason Garrett's mantra is not focus on the turnover ratio. It's whatever else it is that wasn't working. It's 8 and 8.
A lot of that has to do with Romo, because you know Romo was turnover prone.
High risk, high reward, but mostly high risk.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. So then McGinn also makes the point how much impact that a younger Mike McCarthy had in the first couple of years on Brett Favre, that he actually, to quote the piece, he had a firm but steady guidance on Favre that toned down his impulsiveness, and he had his best statistical year under Mike McCarthy when he had a passer rating of 95.7, and it was his best in his 11 years with the Packers, who went 13-3 in 2007. That was it.
Right.
Okay, so he's saying he really had clean-it-up impact on Favre's game, took the Romo impulsiveness out of Brett Favre. And then this is stunning to me, but I was not giving McCarthy any credit for this because I thought he sort of went as Aaron Rodgers went. But McGinn, who really knows what he's talking about, said, few will remember the start of Aaron Rodgers' career. 2 starting years in, obviously he's there for 3 before that. 2 starting years in, there were as many scouts who believed his career would be a bust as there were those who did not. He couldn't have been less impressive in his first 2 seasons under Mike McCarthy. But then McGinn's giving McCarthy credit for starting to help him evolve into the transcendent thrower of the football that you talked about. Okay, well, if I should give credit there, instead of just crediting Aaron Rodgers with the rise of Mike McCarthy, well, then that is going to help Dak Prescott because, as you said, incrementally, a little better, a little better, a little better. Well, maybe you could make a quantum leap into a big-time winning playoff quarterback.
Yeah, Skip, and when you look at a coach, and he's like, hold on, he coached Brett Favre, win the Super Bowl's MVP, Aaron Rodgers, win the Super Bowl MVP. Skip, how does that not like, hey, he might have that same impact on me. If they did it, why can't I? So Mike McCarthy comes with credibility. No matter what you think about him, it was because of this or because of that. He comes with credibility. And Dak is going to be all ears. It's going to be very interesting, and I'm sure at some point, Skip, the most important thing for Jerry Jones, he needs to go to Dak and says, Dak, what do I need to do? Go ahead and give him, Skip, don't haggle over.
That's a whole nother.
Don't haggle. Get him into camp because I believe
have to get him in camp.
I believe Dak is ready to take the next step. If what Bob McGinn is saying, he's ready to take the next step, and the Cowboys can get to what you believe is the Super Bowl 54.
And it rang true what McCarthy was saying about Dak, because he even had film that he saved of Dak at the Combine when he was about to be a 4th-round pick of the Dallas Cowboys. And McCarthy made a strong point that he was even more impressed. Remember the early game Dak played at Lambeau?
Yes.
When he did outplay Aaron Rodgers in that game. Zeke had a big game. They had a big game. And they won pretty handily. It was in October of Dak's rookie year at Lambeau Field against Mike McCarthy's team. Obviously, there was a lot of success McCarthy had against Dallas, which helped get him the job. But that wasn't one of
the games.
And he said it was so impressive seeing him up close and personal because he's physical. He has a presence because he weighs, I don't know, 240-ish.
Easy.
Somewhere in there. Maybe at that point 250-ish because I think he lost a little weight this year. But the point is, everything he said about Dak, he said we can run the whole playbook with this guy because he can make all the throws. We don't have to help here or you know, you can't do this.
Scale
you
it
can't
down.
do that. You can't. He said we don't scale anything back for him. What he said about Zeke was platitudes to me. Any quarterback needs a good running game, blah, blah, blah. And it didn't ring true to me about Zeke. I still say Zeke they will use in different ways. You brought up the point he may have to catch it more. And I do believe he'll catch it more.
Right.
And I do believe that Mike McCarthy in the end wants to throw the football. Even more than Mike Shanahan with you wanted to throw the football. His DNA is throw.
Right. Because Skip, if you look at the West Coast, most of the guys in the backs in the West Coast, Roger Craig, Ricky Waters, guys of that nature, they caught the ball. Yeah, they had 1,000 yards rushing, but they catching 50 and 60 balls. TD never caught. I don't think TD ever caught more than 30 balls, maybe 25. We ran the football with TD.
And you had an offensive line could flat out open holes.
That's going to be the key, Skip. Who's going to be his offensive line coach? Because the offensive line is really, in the West Coast, is really the most important because they got twofold. You got to protect, but you got to open holes. So it's going to be interesting to see how they orchestrate this thing. Because, like I said, I believe Dak is ready to take the next step. You get Amari. I'm just assuming that Amari and Gallup's going to come back, and you got Zeke. Yeah. Skip, you already got 3 Pro Bowl offensive linemen. At some point in time, they've been all pros in their career. You got Lyle Collins, who many believe is the best right tackle in football. Okay, your left guard, okay, we'll see how that works out. But if you got four top linemen and you got one guy of the week, you can make up for that. But the offensive line is going to be very important because this offense is quarterback friendly. Dak is good. Man, look at. Because everything is like, we got the comeback coming to that side, we got the drive route coming to that side, we got the check down. So your eyes are there. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. So this team led the league in yards gained, and it finished 6th in points scored. That's a disconnect. Yeah. Something's wrong.
You want to be 1 in points scored.
Okay. So maybe they can be closer to number 1 in points scored.
Right.
This team, I don't have it off the top of my head. I think it finished like +1 in turnover ratio. Maybe next year it's +10.
Right.
Then we can have a conversation.
Right. Well, yeah, just Skip. Their defense, when you look at it, they don't have ball hawks. They don't have guys that take the ball away. And that's why Byron Jones is going to struggle getting the kind of money that he wants because he doesn't tuck the ball away. Peters takes the ball away. That's why they're willing to Skip. He's a big-time corner. He will create turnovers. The Cowboys' defense didn't create or doesn't create enough turnovers. It doesn't give their offense short fields. It doesn't produce scooping scores and pick sixes like top teams. You look at the Ravens. You look at the teams that are in the playoffs, Skip. What can all their defenses do? They can take the ball away, put their offenses on short fields. And that's going to be key because if you got to methodically drive down the field 75, 80 yards, Skip, it's hard to get to 30, 35 points a game when you're doing all the legwork as opposed to your defense giving you a short field. Your special teams giving you short field.
No mercy. If the Tom Brady era with the Patriots is indeed over, you may be surprised to hear that none other than Andy Dalton could be a good fit to replace the 6-time champ in New England. Peter King proposed the pairing yesterday, saying he thinks that Bill Belichick would really like to work with the Bengals signal caller and saying he may be the best available veteran QB this offseason. The Bengals are expected to move on from Dalton after earning the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft following their 2-14 season. So, Shannon, could Belichick win a Super Bowl with Andy Dalton?
I believe he could. I believe he believes he could, Skip, because Coach Belichick believes he can take a guy and get the best out of him. He loves taking guys, Skip, that everybody else that was somewhere else and people like that, time to move on. And bring him in and say, see, that guy didn't know what he was doing. They didn't know how to coach him. That's why you believe that's why he did that with Flowers. The Philadelphia Eagles took, I think, Eric Flowers in the 2nd round. They moved on from him. They're like, you know what? We ain't going to start.
Eric Rowe.
Eric Rowe, excuse me, Flowers.
All right.
Eric Rowe.
Yep.
We're going to take our Super Bowl, the guy that made the play of the Super Bowl, the greatest defensive player in Super Bowl history. We're going to put him on the bench.
The whole game.
We're going to take the guy that y'all released, and we're going to beat y'all with him.
I'll show you. Yep.
And that's how he thinks, Skip. Coach Belichick believes that he deserves more credit than he got for Tom Brady. Because everybody I took him.
Sure.
In the 6th round. Nobody else had no grade on. Tom Brady got the credit that he skipped. If Tom Brady was a 1st-round draft pick, let's just say first round. We don't have to say first overall. Tom Brady wouldn't be thought of like he is. It's because he came from virtually obscurity.
Yep.
In everything, the MVPs in the regular season, the Super Bowl wins, as many times as he won the game-winning drives. Coach Belichick say, y'all don't want to give me no credit for that, huh? I don't get nothing. Now, everybody else quarterback, that the head coach, he gets some credit for it. But I don't get nothing. Coach Belichick said, you know what I'm going to do? Y'all see what I did with Matt Castle?
Yeah.
Tom Brady went down in 2008. I went 11-5, which is an anomaly, Skip, that 11-5 team wasn't even a wild card.
Yep.
We get that sometimes because we saw the New Orleans Saints this year go 13-3 and become a wild card. He said, did y'all see what I did with Jimmy G and Garoppolo? Jacoby Brissett.
Yep.
I went 3-1 when Tom went 4 games. So you mean to tell me if I get Andy Dalton, I'm going to add a few more weapons. And people say, well, if you're going to add weapons to give Andy Dalton, why don't you give those same weapons to Tom Brady? Coach Belichick looks at it like this. At some point in time, I can't keep kicking the can down the road. I'm going to eventually have to pick the can up, Skip, and move on. Coach Belichick says, I love Tom. Look at what we've been able to do. But at some point in time, I've got to move on.
And he deserves the right to see if he can win without Tom Brady.
For sure.
And Tom deserves the right.
Okay.
I mean, whether he wants to do that or not, Skip.
Yep.
So I believe that, Skip, the question is a 32, 33-year-old Andy Dalton next year, will he be better than a 43-year-old Tom Brady?
That would be the question.
That's it, Skip. That's it in a nutshell. Because when he got sent to the bench because they wanted to see if Ryan Finley was their guy, he was 1 yard. He was 4th in passing. Tom Brady was 5th.
Okay.
They were separated by a yard.
Okay.
So the question is, at this point next year, at the start of the season, will Andy Dalton be better than the 43-year-old Tom Brady? I believe Coach Belichick thinks he could. I'm not saying he's going to do that, but I believe Coach Belichick believes that he would.
Okay. The reason I love this topic is because I love Peter King, and I've known him forever.
He's plugged in.
Nobody is more plugged in, and he doesn't just throw things up against the wall to see if they'll stick.
Nope.
This came from somewhere. He was doing the hypothetical what if. Wouldn't it be interesting if, his sort of gut feeling was, Bill would like to go forward with an Andy Dalton.
Right.
I'm going to guess he's heard that from maybe the man himself. I got an eye on him.
They're posed, I hear from him, but I got to pose it as a hypothetical.
Correct. So now my answer to this question is, there is no way he could win a Super Bowl with Andy Dalton. I like Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is pretty good, but his career QBR in Cincinnati, albeit for the bungles, whatever you want to call them, but he's a little below average. He's 48 on a scale of 0 to 100. That's his career QBR. He's pretty good, and he'll win some games.
Have his moments.
Okay, I just want to drive home the fact that you would be replacing the greatest clutch player this league has ever seen on the biggest stage in the sport.
Right.
Because if you just quickly look back at what Brady did, could Andy Dalton do all these things? Remember, as a first-year starter, when John Madden's up there in the booth saying they got to shut it down and play for overtime in that first Super Bowl against St. Louis Rams, he let him throw 8 passes. He completed 5 and set up a 49-yard field goal, and the rest is Super Bowl history.
Correct.
And then against Carolina the next year, Tom Brady completed 4 or 5 passes for 47 more yards to set up Adam Vinatieri for a game-winning field goal. And then against the Giants in the one they lost, when they could have been undefeated, obviously, Brady did what he always has done. He completed 8 passes for 71 yards and the touchdown that with 2 minutes to go put them ahead. Okay? And then we go to the Seattle Super Bowl. He was just extraordinary in the fourth quarter. 13 of 15 for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. They came from 24 to 14 down to win the game. And again, it took the beast mode decision at the end and the Malcolm Butler interception.
But Skip, I think the thing is that Coach Belichick is going to look at it. He says, look, I had the #1 scoring defense. I believe I can bring this defense back pretty much in check. The question, and he says, as long as I don't ask Andy Dalton to win me a game 38-41, because Tom Brady didn't win that game. That was 41-33. So he says, if I can keep it close, can Andy Dalton make a play here or there that would be the difference?
But I'm trying to show you, to demonstrate how many times Tom Brady was extraordinarily clutch and pulled out games that Andy Dalton would not be capable of pulling out. Because then you go to the Atlanta Super Bowl.
Yes.
He throws for 246 in the fourth quarter and overtime.
Right.
It's unheard of. It's impossible, leading to 505 yards, the all-time playoff record, against the Eagles in a game they lost, but Brady put up 33 points.
You do know Coach Belichick, the way he looks at it. He's looking at it like, if you look at the games that we lost, my defense played good enough for us to win. And the one time that our defense didn't play good, we lost. You do realize that, Skip.
They got about 41 points.
That's what I'm saying. The one time he's like, hold on, my defense held to 17. One time my defense, what was the final score? 17-14.
Which one?
The first Giants loss.
It was 17-14 because they went ahead 14-10 with 2 minutes left.
He's like, my defense gave up 17 points. My defense, and the next time they're around, what was it, 20-17, 21, something like that? He's like, hold on. As long as I don't get into a shootout, I can keep it close to the vest. Can Andy Dalton and Skip look? Let's not kid ourselves. There's no way I'm putting not in the same galaxy. If there's more than one, I don't know how many galaxies there is, but Andy Dalton isn't in the one that Tom Brady's in. But Coach Belichick, Skip, you have to go into the mind of coach. You know how coaches are, Skip. They believe it's them. Just like the quarterbacks and players believe it's them. Because you tell Michael Jordan swears it ain't got nothing to do with Jerry Krause. He said it, Skip, he said it at his Hall of Fame induction.
He'll give Phil Jackson some
he'll give Phil, but he ain't getting no organization.
No.
But he believes, Coach Belichick believes, I'm most responsible. I found him. I helped develop him. I let him sit, nurture him, yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
And my defenses. So he believes he can get not 6, but 1.
How about the 2 AFC championship games recently? Could Andy Dalton do this? They're down 20-10 early in the fourth quarter to Jacksonville at Foxborough. And in the fourth quarter, Tom Brady throws for 138 and brings them back to win with 12 stitches in the palm of his throwing hand. And then how about 3 straight 3rd and 10 conversions in overtime at Kansas City last year in the cold? Andy Dalton can't do that. Bill Belichick benefited greatly from all the above. And then you blast Brady for his performance in the last Super Bowl last year. Well, on that one drive, he went 4 of 4 for 67 yards, including the big throw to Gronk, and that won the game.
Right, but that's what but see, Coach Belichick is looking at it, is like, Coach Belichick's in his office, Skip, he's like, the last two playoff games, I got the greatest quarterback that hadn't thrown a touchdown, that has 2 interceptions. And we scored 13 points in both games. One game, the team was absolutely healthy against a defensive coordinator that just wasn't rehired. They didn't bring Wade Phillips back. And again, in my building.
By the way, I don't know why they didn't, but that's just me.
But Skip, and he said, hold on, in our building, we scored 13. My defense gave up 14 points, and I can't win a game?
And you gave Tom Brady the worst supporting cast in the NFL this year?
But Coach Belichick said, I gave you the best defense, arguably, that you've ever had.
Okay, well, the bottom line to this discussion is, I just hope that Andy Dalton does become next year's quarterback of the New England Patriots, because I can't wait to see what doesn't happen.
And then you mess right to see, I think the Super Bowl's in Tampa next year?
I don't know. Is it?
Tampa, Arizona, and then Andy Dalton is taking snaps on the center of New England Patriots in the Super Bowl.
You think so?
In the Super Bowl, then what you going to say?
We might have a little dew on that.
No, I'm just saying.
Joey is too soon for that.
We might have a swimming pool full of dew on that one.
We know the next QB.
Red Rifle. Old Red Rifle might need some resurgence.
Yeah.
I'm not saying.
Not yet.
But Coach Belichick.
Do you realize the pressure Red Rifle would feel to step into those shoes in that stadium up there?
I want to be the guy that follows the guy that followed that guy. I want to be the guy that think about what Greasy had to, when you had to step in and you have to follow John Elway, or you step in and you follow Marino.
It's hard to do.
Unless you're like, Aaron Rodgers followed Brett Favre and Steve Young followed Joe Montana. But Skip, if you're not that Hall of Fame caliber and you got to follow that guy, I don't know how. How you do that?
You just crumble under
Yes.
I'm not sure Andy's that guy. I like him, but not like this.
But old Coach Belichick get over there and start playing the mind tricks. He get him in there and start talking to him.
Okay.
You will do this. You will do this. We can succeed. And next thing you know, old Red Rifle doing things
Well,
that you never saw in Cincinnati.
Good luck, Coach Belichick.
I think we all agree, though. He wants to prove that he can do it without Tom Brady. That's one thing. And
like Ransom.
Looking forward to getting back to the Super Bowl next year.
No mercy.
Mike McCarthy was officially introduced by the Cowboys yesterday as the 9th head coach in team history. And while many Cowboys fans think Jerry Jones may interfere with McCarthy trying to do his job, both McCarthy and Jones seemed ready to approach next season as a collaborative effort. Take a listen.
We're going to make we decisions. I'm excited about what's in place here from in the personnel department. How it's structured. It's similar to where I've been. I think the job that's been done to this point, the personnel is very impressive. I mean, that was a big attraction for me.
On my desk was, if you're willing to give others the credit, you'll conquer the world. Bam. And somehow this thing has turned me into something perceived that I don't like about it, because it is a we deal.
Sure looks happy.
Where did that come
from?
from?
The honeymoon, Shannon. Yeah. Are you buying this?
No. And that saying that's on Jerry's desk, if you give others the credit, we can conquer the world, he turned it face down. Because he don't see it when he walk in there.
Well, he did make the point. It was on his desk when he bought the team.
Is it still there?
I don't think so.
Exactly.
Changed.
Because that's what's
redecorated.
A guy that says a we, he doesn't have to constantly remind you the buck stops with me. Not we, me. He said, oh yeah, we sit around and we collaborate, I run it by, but at the end of the day, the buck stops with me. It stops on my desk. That's not a we, that's a you. And the reason why it stopped being a we is that you didn't like the fact that there was somebody that won Super. You fired a man after that's unheard of.
After back-to-back.
Back-to-back.
It will never, ever happen again. Book it.
And the oldest guy of the superstars of your team was 27, Michael Irvin. Troy Aikman was 26, Emmitt Smith was 25, and you fired the coach after back-to-back. That's not a we, Skip. That's a me. I need more of this pie. You're getting too much of it. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get you, cause you eating too much of the pie. I'm gonna get you up out of here. And then ever since then, because I'm not saying that Jerry didn't talk, but we didn't see Jerry's face like this here.
Nope, we did not.
Skip, that sounds good. And Mike McCarthy is saying all that, and I think Aaron Rodgers said he's surprised that Mike didn't go somewhere where he had more general managers, had more powers.
Sure.
And normally what happens, Skip, is that when a guy gets fired, because normally first-year head coaches, they don't get a whole lot of power. Mike made that mistake when he went to the Raiders. Al Davis had all the powers. He fired him after 20 games. Mike made sure when he came back to Denver, he got everything. When Coach Belichick was in Cleveland, Art Modell ran the show. When he went to New England,
he got it all.
He got it all.
He did.
Pete Carroll has more powers now than he ever had at the Jets in New England. So they normally, the second time around, say, no, I'm not going out with that. Mm-hmm. No. I'm going to have more say in who we get, be it the draft, be it free agency, the final 53. I'm going to have more say. Now, it sounds good. Oh, we. Mike, do you really believe you're going to do some we? Because he's like, the structure was very similar. It's like, and Jerry said Mike built a great team. Mike didn't build jack. Ted Thompson built that team. And that's why Ted Thompson got fired first. Because he's the one that built the team. See, I want to know, since Jerry built this team, when they go find the general manager at the Cowboys? Oh, my bad, Skip. He the owner.
Nope.
So you can't. So that's a we. Ain't no we, it's you, Jerry. So stop these shenanigans. You know good well it ain't we. It ain't gonna ever be we. And you know that.
And to your point, when Jerry Jones hired Bill Parcells thought it was going to be all me decisions.
Exactly.
And he learned it was just the opposite. It's he decisions, right?
Till T.O. came on the scene.
T.O. came on, and then it was a he decision. Jerry said, I want a box office star that I can sell, because this is all about entertainment and box office, right?
Yes.
So this was what I referred to early in the show as my laugh out loud moment of the day. I just fell off my chair when he said, we're going to make we decisions. No, you're not. It sounded good.
It did. It really did.
And Mike was very well prepared for this. Yeah. He had really thought this through in the last 24 hours. Heck, he may have been prepping through the whole his season off, this last football season, for how would he handle a question like that.
Right.
And it was politically correct. Yeah. It sounded good. I think Jerry sort of bought into it. But deep down, Jerry can't stop himself. It's not a conscious decision.
Yeah.
Jerry has a gigantic runaway ego, and it just eats him alive, and he can't think straight because he needs the stage.
Right.
And again, Mike allowed him to sit there. Jerry spoke more than Mike did.
Yes.
We predicted that.
Yes.
Right? Okay. But then Jerry went to the second laugh out loud moment, which was actually, it kind of just made me sick at my stomach.
What do you think?
Was the one about the plaque on his desk. What? If you're willing to give others the credit, you'll conquer the world. And then he said, I don't know, this misperception has been created. There's no misperception. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? That's just straight delusion, right?
Skip, he reminds us every time he speaks that is Jerry's way. It ain't nobody else. It's the buck stops with me. I'm the final decision maker. And Skip, the thing what I like about Mike McCarthy, he practiced this. He said, I got to say it's a we decision, and I got to be deadpan because I know I'm killing my laughing inside. So I've got to we going to make we decision.
That's when I wanted Stephen Jones to laugh out loud.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have worked.
That's when he should have been laughing, huh?
That was funny. Right? So I referred to this article earlier, and I got one more paragraph to hit you with out of the Bob McGinn article in The Athletic from the reporter who covered this team for 40 years in Milwaukee and Green Bay. He knows where the bodies are buried.
Right.
And his point was Ted Thompson performed poorly in his last 2 or 3 years as GM in Green Bay. Privately, Mike McCarthy complained about Thompson's inactivity when it came to adding players from outside the organization, as in free agents. He would not pay for free agents. He wanted to build through the draft. And that works until you start failing in the draft.
Correct.
And then you can't fix the holes that start to develop because you're waiting on a kid to grow up, and he doesn't grow up, and you get trouble. And so McGinn's sort of conclusion was that now McCarthy's joining the Cowboys, for whom Jerry Jones and his son Stephen can provide him with more resources than he has known before and a willingness to gamble on greatness in everything they do. I will give you that.
Yes.
McCarthy may try to swallow his pride on this because at least he's with a dominating GM who will pull out the stops.
Right.
He will plunge. He'll try anything.
Right.
And I'm sure Jerry will listen to what Mike says.
Right.
You know, we sure could use a blah or a blah, right?
Correct.
And that if Jerry gets it in his head that it's his choice to go get that guy, he'll go get it.
Yes.
Okay, well, Ted Thompson wouldn't do that.
Right. And that was a skip. Because look at it this year. What did they do? They plunged in free agency. Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, Amos.
It changed lives.
Yes.
It's the reason they're where they are right now.
And I'm not saying, Skip, there's no, and I'm sure McCarthy's looking at it like, dude, we got Aaron Rodgers. We can't stop anybody. The defense is the bottom feeders. We got a guy that's throwing for 300 yards, and we top 5, top 10 in offense, but we got a bottom 28 defense. That's not going to work. Go get us some help. Like, nope. We're going to develop. And guess what? Mark Murphy says, you know what? It's your fault. You're the general manager. You're responsible for getting. So guess what? You're up out of here.
Okay. All right. Which brings us back to the current quarterback in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, who said 2 days ago that he was surprised that Mike McCarthy didn't go somewhere where he could have full control.
Right.
Well, I get that because I'm sure Aaron heard behind the scenes from Mike constant frustration with, I can't, my hands are tied. I need more control.
Right.
If we could do this, we could do that. Right.
And I like knowing. And the thing is, like, if you played for Mike Shanahan when he was in Denver, it wasn't the coach wanted you and the general manager didn't. Hell, they're the same people.
Sure.
If you're in New England, you know you're there for one reason. Bill Belichick wants you there because he runs everything.
Yeah.
So there's no, well, I want you, he didn't. He wanted you, I didn't. No, there's none of that.
Okay.
So Mike McCarthy said, when I wanted free agents, I couldn't get anything. So I'm surprised also because, like I said, the second time around, Skip, you learn from your mistakes. You learn I didn't have nearly enough control to control my destiny. Because if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down my way, not your way.
So would the new owner in Carolina have given Mike McCarthy total control? Maybe. I don't know. Would the Giants have given him a bunch of control? Maybe.
It seems like Matt Rule has a lot of control.
It does seem like
I don't know about Joe Judge, but what about the Judge?
I don't know about
What about the Judge? The Judge ain't got no control.
Jury's still out.
Okay, and the Cleveland Browns are still in the market. Would they give this man total control, Mike McCarthy? They probably would have. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, Jimmy Haslam is playing more people not to coach his team than he's paying people to coach his team.
Yikes.
That is true. So the bottom line for Mike McCarthy was he knows what the score is in Dallas, and he just said, I want to coach America's team, and it's worth it to me to sacrifice trying to deal with Jerry and letting him have the credit and the control for me to have that job.
But Skip, he might have could have gone anywhere else and said that, and people would have believed him. Though he went to the one place where you're going to say it's going to be a we decision where nobody's going to believe you. Because they got a 30-year history. Well, it was him, Skip, that said, even though people thought Jimmy, the buck stopped with me. I hate to say this. He didn't have to say that. He could have let people still believe that he controlled everything. But he wanted to be known. It's always been Jerry Jones's way.
That is true.
Don't get it twisted.
Don't get it twisted. So I'm hoping that Mike McCarthy can navigate Jerry Jones and get back to another Super Bowl.
Well, I guess he just win the Super Bowl. You be happy, Jerry be happy, and then Jerry probably step away. If they win the Super Bowl, I guarantee you, Skip, if they win the Super Bowl, Jerry will step away and let Steven take it over. Maybe. He just won one. Why he just won one.
But I will predict this. If they do win a Super Bowl, the first guy who will hoist the trophy is not that guy.
No,
not that guy.
Jerry might not let him hold it. Jerry gonna do all
the
Jerry's just gonna be talking. Okay, Mike, you can talk, but you ain't holding the trophy.
I think that Saturday sleepover interview bonding session was probably pretty telling in terms of the relationship and what was discussed, because it would have had to be talked about to make this thing work. I know it's early, but
okay, you can say that, but you know you ain't getting no. You know you ain't. Ain't no we, right?
Yeah.
Ain't no we and I.
We. It's all.
It's
all of us. Just a big happy family.
No mercy.
LeBron James is thriving in his comeback season, even getting some MVP buzz while playing alongside Anthony Davis. But while most of the narrative has been that the Lakers would run their offense through AD, some of the numbers tell a different story, really. An article in The Athletic points out that 73% of LeBron's field goals this year have come unassisted, a career high by far. Also, the King is currently third in running isolation plays behind only James Harden and Russell Westbrook. So Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joins the show. Chris, what do you make of LeBron's approach really this year?
Well, I think those numbers you mentioned are emblematic of one of the challenges the Lakers have, and that's that you got one playmaker. That's LeBron.
Thank you.
And Kyrie, so 73% of his baskets unassisted. In Cleveland, you had Kyrie to make plays for him sometimes, Dwayne Wade in Miami to create for him. And where it's a problem is against the really good teams, particularly the Clippers, because it's right. It's tough enough when you're the lone playmaker on your team,
right?
But then when you got a perimeter defense like Kawhi, Paul George, and Pat Beverly, that's very tough, and that's why they're looking to get a playmaker if they can to help LeBron. So I think that's the issue now. When LeBron said we're going to run the offense through AD, I think he meant it, and I think they're doing that. I think he meant AD's going to be the leading scorer, but we have to understand running it through AD is different than if he said we're going to run it through D Wade or we're going to run it through Kyrie, because they didn't need a setup guy. So when they ran at times the offense through Wade or Kyrie with LeBron was kind of standing over by the hash like this, right? By the hash mark, watching. With AD, even if you run it through him, you got to make a post feed. You got to get him going on the break. You got to throw him an alley-oop. He's flashing across the lane. Whatever it is, look, AD needs a setup guy, and that's what LeBron is. So, and I also think when LeBron said it, we know he's strategic. One of the most strategic athletes we've ever seen, off and on the court. So when he said about AD, we're going to run the offense through you, I believe he was like, I got to build up this guy's confidence.
Okay.
Because I think you would agree with this, Skip. AD has a number one game, but he's not had the number one mentality.
Nope.
Maybe it's he was a late bloomer. He grew a bunch his senior year or junior year in high school. At Kentucky, only averaged 8 shots a game, 14 points. So I think LeBron is like, I'm going to try to get this guy to be have a number one mentality to help me this year win a title. And then every year going forward, it's going to become more and more AD's team as LeBron gets older. He's not planning on retiring anytime soon, but he's going to get older and older, and I think it's going to become more and more AD. So I think he's trying to prepare him for that.
Okay.
Go ahead. You want to go?
I'm going to go?
Yeah, I want you to go.
Really?
Go ahead. Yeah, I want you to go.
Shocking.
I'll let you go.
I got blessed on this show by Shannon Sharpe said here. Go.
Important. You got to hear
You agree with everything I said, I assume.
I do agree with your final point. What LeBron said about playing through AD was just for psychological purposes. AD has never had the rub-off impact in New Orleans, he never had it in New Orleans, that you would think a player of his PER stature should have, because he's the PER prince.
Right.
At the top of the list every year, not maybe one, but 1, 2, 3. And yet they were below 500 in his seasons there. Okay, so LeBron is saying, I got to build him up and keep him happy. And yet, to me, LeBron is pushing for one more MVP, maybe 2 more MVPs, because I still believe he needs accolades to catch Michael Jordan. He's not going to be able to catch him in championships. So he's saying, I need longevity records and I need big accolades, such as an MVP at age 35. Karl Malone won one at 35. So you would tie him as the oldest to ever win an MVP.
Right.
And the key to me, there's one more stat, although that one about 73% of his baskets are coming where he just goes solo. Just goes, just says, my turn, right? But the key stat to me is LeBron James leads the NBA in fourth quarter shot attempts, leads the whole NBA. And guess who is 103 shots short of LeBron? Anthony Davis.
In the fourth quarter?
In the fourth quarter, LeBron James has taken 103 more fourth quarter shots than Anthony Davis, who ranks 51st on this list of fourth quarter attempts. Okay? What is that telling you? In the fourth quarter, LeBron just says, get out of my way, I got this.
Right.
And we've seen it not work against the Clippers, especially the first night against the Clippers when Anthony just got zonked in the fourth quarter. He came up zeros, right? And yet, they're 21-0 versus sub-500 teams. So LeBron is just saying, hey, especially if we're playing a mediocre to bad team in the fourth quarter, I'm just going here because they can't stop me, and I'm going to get to the scoreboard, and I'm going to pile up some assists also. So he's putting up big numbers in the fourth quarter, and they're working because the overall numbers are pretty sensational. Is he not in the MVP conversation?
Yeah, we win it. But
he's not. He's not going to win it. I think he's got a long way to go to catch Giannis, Luka, assuming Dallas can start winning a little more, and Harden, even.
Harden as well.
Harden has been sensational.
Yeah.
He was again
9-34.
I'm just saying LeBron's probably fourth or fifth on the list right now, MVPs.
I think that what we're losing sight of is that when they said they're going to run the offense, they thought like LeBron was going to say, okay, AD going to go get 30 and 15, and I'm going to average 15. You have to realize, as you mentioned, Chris, there are no other playmakers. LeBron is not posting nearly as much because guess what? He's playing with 2 other bigs. No. So who you got AD post, and you either got JaVale or Dwight Howard on the court. So LeBron loves space. If you look at LeBron points, they come in house, Skip. Threes, layups, free throws.
That's it.
So who the hell is assisting him on those? Because he's dribbling the ball and he's pulling up from 3. Or he's driving the ball. Very few times do they get him the ball in a situation where he's diving down the hole. He's normally putting a move, dribbling between his legs, getting to the basket on his own. But if you watch him, they play the pick and roll. He and AD do a very good job. I don't think they do enough of pick and roll.
That is true. I agree with that.
But if you notice, Skip, he'll dump the ball down to AD and go clear to the other side. He's like, AD, do your thing.
Right.
But I just want y'all to know now, I'm going to let y'all do what y'all do for 3 quarters. If it ain't working for a quarter, your boy going to do what I do.
Okay.
And that's what he been doing. He leading the league in assists, Skip.
Well, he is, because when he dumps down to AD and he goes and stands in the corner, AD often scores that basket, and you get an assist.
See, they've got to get AD going in the fourth, though.
Yes.
Because, again, against the Clippers, if you watch those 2 games, and to me, it's the Clippers. That's the only team in the West that can beat them. That's the only team.
And the Clippers seem to only get up for they do know they don't get the Lakers for 3 rounds.
They do seem that way.
You keep dilly-dallying around talking about Lakers, and somebody gonna bust your head before you even see the Lakers.
Nah, that's fair. But if you look at those 2 games against the Clippers, The Lakers have led for the most part early in the game and even late into the third quarter, I think in the Christmas day.
Right.
And in the fourth quarter, it's been all Clippers.
It has.
So I think you got to get AD used to being dominant in the fourth quarter. And I do think there's some, and I don't fault LeBron for this, but I do think he's looking at his numbers too. I don't know so much as to win an MVP. He may know that's going to be hard to do with AD on his team. But I think he wants those records. And I don't fault him. I mean, every great player wants records. But you can get to Kareem, and, I think he does want those. And so a lot of these games they have in hand in the fourth quarter, and he's still putting up numbers because he's chasing those
we tried to take a seat. Because we was up 22 at the start of the fourth quarter, and with 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, we only up 10. Right. And now all of a sudden, Frank Vogel got to put him and AD when they thought they were like, oh, we good. We only got 38, we only got 28 minutes, and LeBron and AD good for the night. They end up playing 39 minutes in a game in which you was up 30. You can't do that.
So, quick point about you saying Luke is probably ahead of LeBron in the MVP race. Luka ranks 54th in the NBA in shots attempted in the fourth quarter because he disappears a lot in the fourth quarter. And last night, in a nationally televised game against Denver, which has suddenly caught fire, Luka scored 0 in the fourth quarter. And they had the ball at the end with 15 seconds left, and he'd made nothing happen, and they turned it over. But he was 0 for 3 in the fourth quarter and 0 for 1 from the free throw line. And I watch him a lot, and I'm not seeing that guy in the fourth quarter.
He might be 51st in the fourth quarter, but he sure getting up them shots in the first 3 quarters. Well, he in the top. He in the top one of those.
No, he's playing. And if they keep winning, that's the key for that. If their record is 50 plus wins, then he may finish ahead of LeBron. I just think, and LeBron's got the extra. Again, having AD, it's just like Shaq and Kobe.
You know what we're gonna have. I told you we're going to have more than 56 wins.
Oh, the Lakers?
We got more than 56 wins. So we got to do something. You have to make an adjustment now. Well, we somewhere like 60, 65, and 17.
So you got LeBron as MVP right now?
No, I mean 65 and 16, 66 and 16. What we going to do, Chris?
They going to win 65. You have LeBron as MVP?
No.
Oh.
We can win.
I'm just asking.
Wait, he had him as MVP when he was at St. Vincent St. Mary.
I think he was 5-time MVP. They didn't play the NBA. But I'm saying, though, Chris, I mean, we 65 and 17, 66 and 16. Somebody's going to have to answer for this because everybody said we weren't going to win but 50 games. Maybe 48.
What's your record against the Clippers right now?
Skip, that's only 2 games.
0-2.
We got something for them at the end of the month.
Well,
that's going to be a big game.
Right?
We got something for them.
That's going to be a big game.
We got something for them.
Really? Well, you better.
I think you were saying that on December 23rd.
Yeah, we're going to do what the Grizzlies did. You remember when the Grizzlies put that 140 spot on?
Look, I picked the Lakers myself, so they need to put something on the Clippers.
I just want to know what the claw was with Jay Crowder put that 27, 8, and 7 on it.
Well,
a guy that's a 10 and 6 guy, Chris.
Why don't you ask where Paul George was that night and where was Patrick Beverly? Because neither played. Well, they didn't. They didn't play.
Okay, what about what they play the Knicks?
He was load managing.
The Knicks.
Kawhi.
The Knicks got 132. The Knicks ain't scored 132 in the last 2 games combined.
All they care about are the Laker games.
But you don't get the Lakers all 3 rounds.
But they not gonna. It's the Clippers and the Lakers. That's it. And the Lakers got to find a way. They got to figure out a way to beat the Clippers.
Okay,
that's what it's coming down to.
I'm still intrigued by the Rockets. I know.
Well, they give the Clippers trouble.
I know they do.
But
it's going to be interesting.
We got them next Friday. We got some for James Harden next Friday.
Yeah, and by the way, Russell Westbrook load managed last night. He took the game off at Atlanta as he should have.
And my guy Trae Young doing it.
So now you're mad
doing
at
it.
LeBron.
They got the worst record in the NBA.
That doesn't mean he's not doing it.
What?
There's different levels.
He's
of
an
load
all-star. He shouldn't be a starter. But looking at the East,
hold up,
with all the injuries,
he should be a starting guard.
It should be Kemba and Jimmy Butler, but I think they have Jimmy Butler listed as a front court player. He should be the starting off guard.
I would Trae Young.
Who got ejected last night? I don't know.
He was on swole. They lost to the Spurs.
Wait. The Spurs have been blowing out the Eastern Conference powers. Milwaukee and Boston away now. Woo.
Figured.
Y'all,
the Spurs
go Spurs go.
You and Ashley.
I told you.
She got there saying, my NBA ticket's going on. Can you tell me the score between the Celtics and the Spurs? Ain't nothing wrong with your ticket.
Ashley works on our staff.
Yeah.
Yes.
She a hater.
From San Antonio, right?
Yeah.
You know what? At least you can be happy about that. Why not? Chris, good to have you.
I can't wait. We see
Per usual.
No mercy.
The Dallas Cowboys officially introduced Mike McCarthy yesterday as the 9th head coach in franchise history. Everyone was in good spirits in the nearly hour-long media session that also included the Jones family, and also several current Cowboys players were in attendance. Among other things, McCarthy talked about making we decisions with Jerry Jones, while Jerry compared hiring McCarthy to the good luck he had drafting Troy Aikman. So, Skip, we start with you. Do you feel any better about the McCarthy hire after yesterday's press conference?
I do.
Yeah, you that's a shame.
Yeah, you do.
Prisoner of the moment.
I can't help myself. Maybe, once again, I'm getting conned by the super salesman showman who is Jerry Jones, Gerald Wayne Jones Jr. Maybe he got me right in the heart again.
Yep.
Maybe I can't help myself because I have been a Dallas Cowboy fan since I was 10 years old, and maybe it just bubbled up to the surface yesterday and overwhelmed me because I was not happy with this move 24, 48 hours ago, as you both know. But what I saw yesterday made me at least feel better about this hire. I'm not saying I feel a whole lot better. I just feel some better about the hire. Because what I saw and heard yesterday felt real. It felt authentic. It felt genuine. It didn't feel staged to me because I saw real tears in Jerry Jones' eyes. I heard a voice that Jerry had that he was losing because he's been screaming with, I assume, joy so much building up to this press conference that he had to apologize for losing some of his voice before he started. I saw Mike McCarthy get choked up, and it sure looked real to me because I don't think Mike McCarthy's an actor. And I have known Jerry for so long. I'm here to say that this is not an exaggeration. That was the happiest I have seen Jerry Jones since he hoisted his last Lombardi 24 years ago on January 27th of 1996 when they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in Phoenix, in Tempe, actually, right? And that's a long time not to be that giddy happy.
Right.
He was out of his mind happy, and he sold me that at least he is heart and soul sold that this move will be the equivalent of falling into Troy Aikman when he first bought the team because they did need a quarterback and they just happened to have the number 1 pick. And there was this kid at UCLA named Troy Aikman, and Jimmy went to work out Jimmy Johnson and said, yeah, I think I'll take that guy. Of course, Jimmy then went and took Steve Walsh from Miami in the supplemental draft. So maybe he wasn't that sold. But it was very fortuitous that Troy was there. And then for the first time in forever, way too long, when Jerry needed a new head coach, because Jason Garrett should have been fired 7 years ago, but when he needed him this time, guess who was just sitting there and who badly wanted to be the head coach of America's team, Mike McCarthy?
Well, Skip, it's not very often that a Super Bowl winning coach is available and wanting to coach. There are some out there, but they no longer interested in coaching. They have one in Mike McCarthy, a Super Bowl winning coach, that was available and wanted to coach. So I guess Jerry can say it was fortuitous in that aspect.
Okay. I mean, that's just dumb luck, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We'll take it and run with it, right?
Right.
So the quote that hit home the most to me, hit me right in the heart, was the foxhole quote in which Jerry was trying to explain why he didn't go unproven young. Like a lot of us, I think we both thought that's where he was going. Why he didn't go Lincoln Riley, why he didn't go Urban Meyer, why he definitely didn't go Matt Rule or Joe Judge, was he said, I want somebody in my foxhole who, and if we could hear the quote, is this.
You got a choice. You can get in that foxhole with somebody that hadn't been shot at, had never been in a foxhole. You can get in there with somebody that's been shot at. Or you can get in there with somebody that's been shot at and hit and still going. Now that's one I want in there with.
I don't think that's phony baloney. I think he had thought long and hard about, I love this team. I thought it was on the verge of getting to a Super Bowl this year. It's still right there, depending on whether they can get Dak signed and what's going to happen with Byron Jones and Amari Cooper. But it's still, even I think you would agree, it's a very talented football team. So he's saying, I don't want young, unproven sort of striving for greatness.
Right.
I want somebody who got shot at and hit. What were my biggest concerns about Mike McCarthy? He got really hit before he got fired because he was accused of stale offense, stale psychologically, checking out, getting massages during Saturday walkthroughs, and allowing a culture in Green Bay to be created around him that was soft mentally and physically. That's Jason Garrett all over again, maybe times 2.
And Skip, he mentioned the foxhole. In this situation, Jerry's comparing the foxhole to the NFL.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy's been an NFL head coach. All these other guys, the Matt Rules and the Lincoln Rileys and the Urban Meyers, they've been head coaches. They ain't been no head coach in the NFL.
So they haven't even been shot at.
Right. So not haven't been shot at. They hadn't been in the foxhole, which is the NFL. I've got a guy that's been in the foxhole who's been shot at and been hit.
He got really hit. And he took a year off, which led to the next quote from Mike McCarthy that hit me right in the heart because it felt so authentic. And he said he took that year away from football to reflect.
Yes.
And I heard humility.
Yeah.
I heard a guy who learned a lot from how bad it went at the end in Green Bay. Yeah. And if we could hear his quote yesterday about how his wife warned him what was going to happen when he tried to speak at this press conference.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you to so many different people. But I will start off with, this past year has been a year of reflection. My wife said I won't make it through 10 words. I think I got to about 6.
I didn't know Mike McCarthy had that in him.
It was real.
I thought he was kind of this gruff, tough guy with not much personality. That was legit.
But Skip, you say he showed humility. What I've learned in my almost 52 years of existence, the guy at the bottom of the hill will always show you more humility than the guy on the top. And I think that's what you saw yesterday.
But that guy was on the top of the hill and got knocked to the bottom.
Exactly. So that's where the humility comes from.
All right.
Being at the bottom of the hill, wanting to work his way back up. But Skip, look, I'm not buying everything. I'm not buying that it's going to be totally different for Jerry Jones. I don't. You will concede that. You don't know. You don't even believe it's going to be differently. Like, okay, it's going to be a collaborative addition. Jerry, what do you think about that free agent? I think that's what we need. It's going to be Jerry. If Jerry wants that, Jerry's going to get that. I will concede this. Jerry let him do something that he didn't let Jason Garrett do. He picked his own staff.
That's a big deal.
Go get it. Yeah. Go.
He respects it.
Yes. Hey. So that is a start. But at the end of the day, Skip, you know what? I remember, we pulled no video, Skip. I remember after the first game, the second game, and the third game, and how giddy Jerry was. But then I remember from week 12 through 17, and then I remember how despondent he was.
I think he was just bewildered.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on with my football team?
Uncle Damas told him what was going to happen. I foretold of this.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, Skip, when they lost to Miami, you remember when the Philadelphia Eagles lost to Miami, and you like your Cowboys, I said, Skip, we still going to win. I said, I'm not as confident as I was, but I said, but your Cowboys will do Cowboys thing. Even our Troy Aikman says, look, the Cowboys aren't very good, but I believe they're better than the Eagles. I know they're not. No, they're not.
The Eagles required overtime to beat the New York Giants, which launched their 4-game winning streak. You like that?
I love it.
They required every last second of the clock to win the game at Washington. My team blew out 46-17 in the last game of the season. Yeah. You like that?
Can imagine. Okay, I wonder what the way it would have done if you guys would have been without Amari and Gallup. That happened, and you'd have probably been down your right tackle and your right guard. I'm gonna see what's going to happen right there. And your who else? Well, couldn't be without Jason Witten because he wasn't that lead putting. But Skip, you saw the injuries.
We were without Jason Witten when he was on the field.
Oh, he was load management on the field. But look, Skip, it's a press conference. Everybody is I look at the press conference like the honeymoon, or you could even say the reception. Oh, who has a bad reception, Jenny?
I hope no one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there have been stories. Trick Daddy said his reception got a little off the hook. They started throwing food and people were knuckling up. But I'm just saying, for the most part, Skip, the reception is a happy time. The press conference is a happy time. Everybody's happy. I got my guy.
Oh, my first reception.
Uh-oh.
It wasn't so good.
Oh, Oh, Skip.
Because I think we both knew this one.
Shoot.
And you went with it, and you.
And
y'all.
Sorry, you asked. Nobody has a bad reception. I did.
You did.
Yep, I'm sorry, I did.
Dang it.
But I had a
Skip,
great one this time around.
She probably watching the show. And you made her feel bad, Skip. That ain't right.
She knows what I feel.
Hey,
it's okay. It's
life
okay.
happens.
She felt the same
Well,
way.
I'm glad y'all.
It was a bad idea.
I'm glad y'all could still remain friends.
We got through it. We were like brother and sister, and sometimes that's not the greatest idea.
No.
Getting married.
Not
you found
the relationship.
Ernestine.
I found Ernestine
And look at
because
these
of
two
this.
who
So
have found each
sometimes
other.
maybe it comes full circle, and it took the collapse at the end of the year. It took the collapse for Mike McCarthy at the end of his Green Bay tenure.
Right.
It took him taking a whole football season off to reflect.
Yes.
And it took some real tears here because they found each other. Right place, right time, right team, right town. America's team. Here we go.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy is a made man. He's got credentials.
He does. He's got credibility.
I am getting a little more excited about this the more we talk about it. And before this show is over, I might just predict we're going to win next year's Super Bowl.
There you go.
You got to stop me. Just stop me.
No.
I'm going to try.
No.
It's too soon. I know it's been a tough year for you.
Oh, it was. In fact, that was the toughest stretch I have ever been through.
I think we both know. We witnessed it.
This is a ray of hope, right?
Yeah.
Just a ray.
Good.
Maybe it's honeymoon. I don't know.
So are you going to apologize for the way you treated me the last month of the season? You were yelling at me. You wouldn't let me speak.
I was yelling at them.
No, you were yelling at me. You wouldn't let me
There
speak.
was some
I wanted an
heated
apology. I wanted an
exchanges.
apology.
And I tried to.
I wanted an apology. I would just say, Shannon.
Okay, I got humbled and I apologize.
Everyone's getting humbled.
I went from
here.
the top of the mountain to the bottom.
I would just say, Shannon, I apologize for the way I spoke to you.
Shannon, I apologize. What's the rest of it? I apologize for the way I spoke to you. I don't even remember this.
Yeah, the way you spoke to me on several occasions.
On several occasions.
You're good.
I just
You're
said
good.
it.
You're
Okay.
good. I like this happy demeanor.
Here we go.
I like it. It's
Super
starting
Bowl,
in
here we go.
Dallas.
No.
Too soon. Tom Brady had a season to forget this past year. While the 42-year-old made the playoffs, the Patriots still lost in the wild card round for the first time in 10 years. His numbers were down across the board, leading many to believe that this is the beginning of the end for the six-time Super Bowl champ. However, Brady fired back at his doubters on Instagram yesterday, saying that he still has a lot to prove. We're now joined by Fox Sports contributor Rob Parker, and I always check when you're tweeting about Tom Brady, just to see the flavor here. So in your opinion, how much does Tom Brady have left in the tank?
He has zero in the tank. In fact, I wrote a column on the shadowleague.com.
I'm glad I didn't see that.
Yeah, and I said that Tom Brady should retire. When I made I had text Skip.
Oh, now
said
we're
something
going
from the
to
radio.
tell stories.
Yeah, I said
Yeah.
Skip said I was absurd, that my take was absurd.
You got 3 dinners from Mr. Childs, huh?
I know. Hey, Skip, don't forget my dinner now.
Yep.
Okay.
I owe you one dinner.
Okay, and I owe you how many? But a few. But no, here's the thing with Tom Brady. And I want somebody to help me out. So Tom Brady,
I'm about to.
help me out,
Yes.
Skip, because Tom Brady is always lauded about, wow, what a team guy, hometown discount, doing what's best for the organization. Now, so which one is it? Now at 40, going to be 43, he wants to break the bank. He wants big money. He wants to get paid like he should have been. Shame on you, Tom Brady, for taking the hometown discount and never getting your true value.
I see.
And now you're asking them to pay a broken down 42-year-old, soon to be 43-year-old quarterback who in the last 2 playoff games, no touchdowns, 2 picks, it should have been 3.
13 points.
Right? 13 points and a fumble. So I'm trying to say to myself, Tom Brady, here's where I think Tom is making a mistake. So many great players want the uniform ripped off of them. They want to go to another place and do what? Be Muhammad Ali in a punching bag at the end. Be Michael Jordan putting on the Wizards uniform and not making the playoffs 2 years when more than half the league makes the playoffs. When I watched Tom Brady on Saturday, I saw Willie Mays in 1973 stumbling around in left field missing fly balls for the Mets. That's not what Tom Brady wants, and it's not going to affect his legacy, Skip. I got it. He won 6 Super Bowls. People will remember that, but why put yourself out there and embarrass yourself and not play to the level that most people have senior play. It's quite obvious he's not that guy anymore. And the other thing is, people need to stop making excuses. This whole career, the narrative was Tom Brady does more with less and you used to joke about it. Oh, that guy worked at 7-Eleven on Friday, and now look what Tom Brady did.
Three guys from Dorchester. He pulled up in his hand. You.
Come on down, and I'll throw you the football and make you a star.
Yep.
Now that he's not playing well, Tom Brady doesn't have any help. Oh, my God, this is not fair. And now Tom comes out and wants more money, which would what? Negate the Patriots from being able to add players because he wants to break the bank. You can't have it both ways unless Tom Brady needs to retire, go home with his wife, kids, have a nice life, enjoy his post-career. Instead, he's trying to be the first NFL player to get a paycheck, a pension, and Social Security all at the same time. Enough.
Tell me when it's my turn.
It's your turn.
Okay, for the record, for those out there who have not followed this, Rob Parker has told me for at least 6 straight years that Tom Brady was finished. Am I right about that? It may be 7 or 8. It may be. We're going way back to the old show on ESPN, right?
That's a long time.
Yeah, but I was right this year.
Yeah. So now he's finally gloating because he's quote-unquote right. And again, he might not want to be paid what he's worth from the New England Patriots. He might want it from the Los Angeles Chargers or maybe the Indianapolis Colts. Who knows? There are going to be a bunch of teams very interested in the man that you say is finished. But before I speak, you should hear what Tony Romo said at the end of the game on Saturday night if you weren't paying attention.
I watched
it. And then
what
Chris Collinsworth said on Sunday, and Randy Moss also said on Sunday about how quote-unquote finished Tom Brady is. Could we hear that, please?
This is a guess, okay? I think he's coming back to play. What I saw out of him, not only today, but when I watched him this year, he is not done. He needs help around him. I think he's coming back, and I think he's going to be very motivated to possibly show people that at that next stage, he's not done.
There are a few teams out there that would love a little extra help in selling tickets. I'm just telling you, I know there are people that think Tom Brady's finished. I did not see that this year. I think he plays again. I think he'll play well.
You think he plays in New England?
I don't. How about a wild guess?
Do it.
How about the Chargers?
What I talk about is the guys on that offensive side that didn't step up in big situations. You're looking at Tom Brady possibly coming back to be the Patriots quarterback and finish out his career. Man, getting some help. Get this man some help because the guys they got right there that they have there are not guys that he need or guys that he wants.
Skip,
interesting.
Can I say something to all of that? You know it, and I know it. He's probably one of the few guys who's objective, who could talk about other players and be honest. Those guys like Tom Brady, and I get it. Those are not objective opinions. They work with Tom Brady. They need to deal with Tom Brady. And I'm telling you, if they watch Tom Brady this past year and they're going to say that he's still good and there's nothing wrong with Tom Brady, I don't think they're being honest.
So Tony Dungy is another who is now campaigning publicly for Tom Brady to please come and play for the Indianapolis Colts. Is he objective about it? I don't know.
He loves Tom Brady.
How about Terrell Owens? Does he love Tom Brady? Because he has been tweeting that Dallas should let Dak go and go sign Tom Brady. Terrell Owens said that.
I don't know if he's the most objective when it comes to Dallas.
Thank you.
Well, okay. And then Antonio Brown, is he objective? Because he got to play for a minute.
He is
Tom
irrational.
Brady. He could be, but when he's talking about football, he knows what he is talking about. And he has tweeted in this last week, I will only go where Tom Brady goes because I want to play with Tom Brady. You think AB thinks he's finished? I think not. Bill Belichick strapped Tom Brady with simply the worst supporting cast of any quarterback in football this year, and it wasn't even close. Not only did the line struggle to protect Tom Brady because they were average at pass protection, they were even more average at run blocking. So he had little to no run game and poor pass protection, and he simply had the worst receiving core in football. So those 3 guys from Dorchester, they were even better than anybody on this roster right now because The receivers, the wide receivers, were last in the NFL in separation, said Pro Football Focus. The tight ends were last in production, said the statistics. So you go from Gronk to Matt LaCosse, and you expect him to survive with that? You could have thrown Aaron Rodgers into the New England Patriot offense, and he would have looked finished this year. Trust me on that. And who was his only trusted receiver he had to? Wide receiver. Little Julian Edelman, the former quarterback from Kent State.
I thought he was going to the Hall of Fame. Remember the talk earlier this year?
Broken down. Wait a second.
Did we go there?
Broken down this year with a busted shoulder, cracked ribs, and a knee that reportedly will require surgery in this offseason. Yeah. Julian Edelman led the NFL in drops this year, and it's the only guy you have to throw to. And it got so bad in the last 3 games, Shannon Sharpe will appreciate this, that Edelman was obviously one of the all-time great slot receivers back in the day. They had to start splitting him out wide because he couldn't beat the double coverage in the middle of the field, and they thought, well, maybe we'll get him singled up wide. And then what happened in what looked like it might be a last drive to win the game against the Tennessee Titans? He throws it to Edelman, and it hits him right in the hands, and he drops it and dropped the football game. And you're telling me that, why couldn't he do it with more with less? Did you see Mohamed Sanu this year? Belichick swung and missed.
Maybe it was a reason that he was available.
Oh, well, he could have had Emmanuel Sanders, and my man across the table said, why didn't he go for Emmanuel? Mohamed Sanu can't run anymore. He was a liability to this offense. And then they did draft N'Keal Harry, and I liked him, but then I start looking at DK Metcalf last weekend, and I look at A.J. Brown for the Titans, and I keep going down the list of Debo and Terry McLaurin, and I'm saying, wait a second, Belichick swung and missed on the one guy I thought could run in this offense. So all of a sudden, there's no more Josh Gordon because Belichick let him go. And whatever happened to Danny Amendola? Well, Belichick wouldn't pay him. And what happened to Chris Hogan? He wouldn't pay him. And I'm thinking, the wide receivers that you threw 505 yards worth of passes to in the Super Bowl when you set the all-time playoff record, they're all gone. Yeah. And wait a second, what about little Brandon Cooks? Oh, wait, he traded him away to the Rams. I'll even go to Jacob Hollister, who's pretty good now for Seattle. He's kind of become a go-to guy for Russell Wilson. Belichick traded him away for a 7th-round pick. What did you leave with Tom Brady? It feels like you sabotaged Tom Brady because you want him out of there.
Hey, Rob,
and it worked.
Rob, you notice all these receivers became Hall of Famers once Tom Brady wasn't the guy anymore?
Right.
They never gave Troy Brown. They never gave Deion Branch. Amendola. They never talked about Tom receivers. He can make anybody. Now that he can't, oh my goodness. But you love decline and you love to put up stats about decline. Let me tell you about Tom Brady's completion percentage. 2017 to 2019. In 2017, he was 5th. In 18, he was 18th. Last year, 27th. Yards per attempt, he went from 5th to 13th to 27th. In QBR, now that's Skip's favorite stat in football. Of all the stats in football, that's it. Skip Bayless, if he wanted to wear a hat, the hat that old Snoop Dogg gave him that made him drip Bayless, the one that he walks in his house and put up on the thing, that's what he hangs his hat on. Tom Brady in 2017 was 3rd. In 2018, he was 9th. Last year, he was 19th. Now, you tell me this is a guy that's not in decline. Skip Bayless. Tom Brady right now, Coach Belichick looking at him as the donut. Now, you don't leave that donut town there for an extended period of time. You get to a gas station, what we used to call a filling station, and get it changed. Coach Belichick said, now season's over. I'm looking to make a change. Skip, he's not the same guy. We make excuses. It was his elbow. He wasn't happy anymore. He had bone spurs. I've never in my life, they didn't make excuses for Emmitt Smith, where his offensive line isn't blocking. They say he's getting old. They didn't make excuses for Jerry Rice. They say Jerry just can't separate anymore. But Tom Brady, we got to find a reason why he struggled. He's 42. I'm not Skip. He on fumes right now. Now, you know you can go an extra couple of months, you got fumes in the tank, but he about to put you downside the road, Skip. Now, he going to probably, you saw it last year in the playoffs, Skip. There was a reoccurring theme. You saw it. The whole year, you didn't see Tom Brady play like Tom Brady with the exception of maybe one game, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
What are you talking about, last year's playoffs?
No. I said last year, the regular season. But you saw the playoffs. You saw the Super Bowl, right? You saw that.
You saw the Charger game, right?
You see what he did?
That's the only game
Wait, did you see the game at Kansas City?
Yeah,
The three
he
straight
threw a
third
pick.
and tens?
He threw a pick six to lose the game.
Rob,
and Ford was offside,
Rob,
right?
Have you ever
Shannon,
seen
did he line up offside?
timeout? Have you ever seen a quarterback complete 3 straight 3rd and 10 passes in overtime to go win the game? It's never happened before.
Jimmy G said, Coach Belichick said, hey, Bob, did you see what Jimmy G did? Yeah. He picked up 2 3rd and 16. That's what we could have had, Bob.
Wow. And he's got the number one seed.
Yeah, boy. You know what?
But
I just can't wait until Bill Belichick gets exposed next year without Tom Brady. You watch. And watch what Tom Brady does with the Los Angeles Chargers.
What if Tom Brady gets exposed without Bill Belichick?
Yeah, we'll see about that.
We'll see, and we will remain on Brady watch because this will be an interesting offseason.
Tom, quit.
Rob, thank you.
Still got time.
No mercy. The Cavs season has gone from bad to worse right now, guys. First, Kevin Love apologized for a, quote, childish outburst during a game last weekend, and now first-year head coach John Beilein is backtracking after a questionable comment he made in a film session. Beilein reportedly called his players thugs while looking at tape with them, a comment that several members of the team took offense to and brought up to GM Kobe Altman. Beilein has since said it was a slip of the tongue and that he had meant to call the players slugs, while also emphasizing that they're playing much better now. So, Shannon, your reaction to this story?
Skip, I think as I've gotten older, I've learned to give people more of the benefit of the doubt. I don't really think one person should lose their livelihood, their job, over a mistake if it's an honest mistake. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm not trying to condemn him, but I just want to hear the players. I want to hear the context in what he said. And if the players are okay with it, I'm going to be okay with it. Reportedly, the players seem to be okay with the explanation that he gave and what he was trying to say, as Jenny read in the read about them playing better. But you have to just be mindful now how players will perceive that. Slugs, thugs, I don't really see the correlation, Skip, but I'm okay if the players are okay with it. And it could have been, and Skip, we're so quick to do that now. One mistake, and it should be off with the head. And I've learned that if I got older, people make mistakes. People say things that, and it slips up sometimes. And so I'm willing to give Beilein, because I don't really know him, Skip. I don't know him. I don't know if you know him or anything like that. But I want to hear the players. But I just know my first reaction, had I been in there, I'd have stopped everything. What the F, Coach, what the F you say? And that would have like, what's the problem? You said thugs. What do you mean? He should have just said, y'all playing like you know what, and then there'll be no explanation. You could say hog, cow, turkey, doesn't matter, dog. You know what you're playing like. But Skip, for me, I'm willing to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he should lose his job if this was an honest mistake. Excuse me. I just want to hear the players. And when he said he talked to 8 players, who? I hope you ain't talked to Kevin Love.
He said he called them individually.
Well, Skip, I hope he ain't talking. I hope Kevin Love and Kevin Love and Jetty Osmond and Zizic wasn't one of the players you're talking to. It's the other one with a little bit more melanin in their skin are the ones you need to be talking to. So hopefully they got clarifications. They're at peace with it. But I can honestly say, in my years of being in a professional locker room, Skip, heard a lot of coaches, be it position coach, offensive coordinators, head coach, and I can honestly say I don't remember them saying anything that raised my eye that I felt I needed to speak out or go to them at a later time and say, bro, I don't like the way you address that situation.
If you're okay with it, I'm okay with it, but I'm barely okay with it. And I wasn't there, obviously.
Right.
We've had no time to do any deeper dive into this.
Right.
But it doesn't feel right to me.
Right.
It feels like he got angry and had a slip of the tongue that was revealing.
Right.
He is old school. I have no idea why Dan Gilbert hired him in the first place.
Right.
Because he went to school in West Virginia, coached at West Virginia for a while, and coached for 12 years at Michigan. And it wasn't like he was a hot, younger type, hip college coach, who, when Calipari got hired to coach the New Jersey Nets, he was a pretty cool operator. Yeah. Yeah, he was. So, and it didn't work out for him because it's hard to break through. But at least he had some ability to relate to those players.
Right.
And he's always been a very good recruiter. And John Beilein has been known more as a fundamental basketball coach who coached disciplined system basketball.
Right.
And he could beat you with lesser talent at West Virginia. So why would Dan Gilbert hire him?
Right.
Because you probably set him up to fail because he's just not built for today's NBA.
And Skip, the thing is, like, a lot of these kids are college age. But there's a difference between a college-age guy that's living in a dorm, that's eating in the training hall, as opposed to a guy that's driving a Ferrari and paying his own bills and paying his mom's bill.
Yep.
So you can't talk to him the same way. It doesn't resonate because the guy that's in college is trying to get to the level that 18, 19-year-old that's in the NBA is at. So he looks at you differently. I'm trying, and I get it, Skip, it's like, and that's what people say, well, he coached college, 18, 19-year-olds in college and some of these kids. But the mindset of a guy that's making $3, $5, $10 million as opposed to a guy that's living in the dorm and hoping to get some PE shoes is entirely different. He doesn't resonate with those guys.
Nope. So the irony is they have had all kinds of player-coach issues through the year with the Cavaliers, but his biggest problem has been Kevin Love, who's the white guy.
Right.
Okay, so I don't know what that means, but he's having issues with everybody.
Well, it's time for the go, Skip, because at some point in time, these issues, once you start having issues and this guy got a problem with you, it's probably like the guys have tuned you out.
Yep.
They're not paying you any attention. And maybe he was trying to gain their, refocus them or gain their attention. But that ain't it.
No.
Like I said, Skip, it's hard. I just want to hear the players. Give me context. What was he saying? He said, y'all guys are lagging. You guys are loafing off. You disorganized, discombobulated. I just need to hear what he said because thugs and slugs, I get it. It's UG at the end, but that don't go together.
Well, he was asked about it today and said that it was supposed to be a positive, that they were not playing like slugs anymore, that they had some.
Well, how the hell thugs come in, Skip?
And a mental mistake.
Hey, thugs are never going to be reviewed as a positive.
A beat writer from Michigan, who covered him a lot when he was, obviously coaching there, did say that he transcribed tens of thousands of his words, and he often did misspeak. Just for reference, this came from a beat writer, Andrew Kahn, and I remember reading a lot of his stuff, which is interesting, I think, for context, because I've noticed, we've misspoken on the show. I have. I did it last week. I was bothered by it the other day, and so it does happen, which doesn't make it okay that if he was saying that in slugs doesn't even make sense. But just for reference, it does happen when you speak like that.
Yeah, I don't know, but to your point, maybe they had tuned him out to the point they didn't even catch it, and then they're looking around.
And all they heard was, because they didn't. First of all, Skip, they sitting there, they're like, first of all, because he made them come in and watch film on their day off. So they already, I don't want to be there. What'd you say?
Well, sure, and it would catch you off guard.
Yeah, so Skip, I just tried to be like, one time shouldn't be a death sentence.
Okay.
And if the players, like I said, I want to hear some of the players, Colin Sexton, Tristan Thompson is probably the most senior of the black players. I want to hear what he has to say about this.
Good point.
No mercy. During yesterday's press conference, Mike McCarthy addressed one of the most infamous plays in Dallas Cowboys history, Dez Bryant's non-catch in the 2014 NFC Divisional Playoff. McCarthy was on the opposing sideline for the Packers during that game, and even though he works for the Cowboys now, he still couldn't bring himself to admit Dez caught it.
And I said it after the game, that was one hell of an athletic play. I was impressed. Because, Dez and Sam Shields, you talk about two great athletes going after the football. So, but I asked the question in regards to how the rule was written, and I was given the right answer by the referee, so then I challenged it. So, and if he wouldn't have answered the question the right way, Gene's territory, I would not have challenged it. That's funny, but it was a great catch, I can say now, but it wasn't then, technically. So.
At least everyone's smiling. Shannon, do you like McCarthy's explanation?
Steven is smiling. Jerry ain't cracking a smile.
He was kind of grinning.
Jerry like,
a little grin.
I don't know what's funny. Skip, look, by the letter of the law, it was not a catch because the way it was written, If you leave your feet to catch a ball, you must hit the ground, maintain possession of the football throughout the entirety of the act. It's the old Calvin Johnson was the first one I saw it, Skip. He caught a touchdown in the end zone. He literally tried to get himself up off the ground, and they said, and Lovie Smith, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was at the time, challenged it in Chicago. So I knew once he challenged it, I said, this is not a catch. I said, this is the Calvin Johnson rule. Now, it's a dumb rule, but you must maintain. And what was he supposed to say, Skip? I mean, I'm sure Jerry put him to the test. Now, he probably told Jerry that at night when he was at his house, Jerry, you know he caught that ball, right? Because if he'd have said, nah, Jerry, you know good and well he ain't catch that ball. Jerry said, you ain't getting the job until you admit he caught it. Skip, you know, I know it brings back painful memory because you believe, because they had already beaten Seattle earlier, they could have gone back and done it again.
Yep.
But
NFC Championship game. On to the Super Bowl.
No. It was not a catch.
So, at least Mike McCarthy yesterday did not sell out to Cowboy Nation and say, oh, he caught it.
Right.
Sure.
He gave a detailed explanation that he had obviously rehearsed in his mind about, I challenged it because I asked Gene Steratore, who now works for NBC but was the head referee, give me the detailed explanation of the rule. Oh, well, then I'm going to challenge because that didn't happen.
Right.
Baloney.
It did.
I don't care what the rule then said, it was still a catch. You know it and I know it. Not only did he catch it, he made 2 football moves. He took 2 strides, and then he switched the ball in complete control to his left hand and attempted to slam it across the goal line because he's left-handed, the way a running back would slam it.
But he bobbled it on the way down, Skip.
He did not bobble it on the way down. He slammed it, and then he never lost complete control of the football because it never went to the ground. Once he slammed it on the sod, it popped up, but he kept control of it.
Well, he should have just did like I would have done. I'd have just caught the ball and walked in the end zone.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done.
But Sam Shields was really good and was all over the throw. And yet, what did that referee standing right over the play do? He raised his arms. He knows the rules because he knows in real time that was as obvious a catch as you will ever get. Dez caught it. Shannon Sharpe knows it.
No, he didn't.
I will go to my grave saying that was a catch, and that was the all-time robbery. Now, it did come with like 4 minutes left, so a gimpy Aaron Rodgers, could he have limped into the end zone?
You guys had all your timeouts. And guess what? Tell the people at home now, you had all your timeouts. What did Aaron Rodgers do? Go right back down the field, make you burn them, and you lost the game. So he's going to come right back down the field and score anyway. Do you want that painful? Do you want that?
I don't think he could have scored because that defense was pretty good. That was the defense that was 5th in points allowed.
You couldn't even get the ball back for your offense. What do you mean? You do realize he burned the timeout with 4:30 left.
They were psychologically devastated by the robbery that they all knew. They were all, the whole sideline went crazy because all of a sudden Dallas had the lead with 4 minutes left at Lambeau in a playoff game.
I mean, it's the same thing. You remember what happened with Jesse James? The Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. What happened? Was that a catch? They said no.
That was not a playoff game. That was not for the right to go beat Seattle in Seattle.
You do know they don't implement rules based on where you are in the regular season or the playoffs. The rules are instituted. Is it a catch or is it not?
This catch rose above the bogus rule that existed then. And Stephen Jones then did go to the competition committee and get it changed. And he was still yucking it up yesterday. Stephen Jones was? Skip, I don't know. I wasn't laughing.
But you remember in the Super Bowl, Clement, if I'm not mistaken, had a catch with the Eagles. And he bobbled it, and it's like, no way. It's a catch. And ever since then, they've cleaned it up. But that wasn't a catch, Skip. But that's what you do. You put it in your pocket. You don't worry about it, Bob. I take all that stuff out of the official's hand.
He did put it in his pocket.
I'm going to take it out of his hand.
He put it in his pocket, then he took it out of his pocket and said, I'm going to put it in my dominant left hand and slam it on the goal line so it is an unquestionable touchdown.
Shay Sharpe would have caught that thing like this here, walked in the end zone, and made the referee give
You make it sound so easy. Like, it's just, walk on in. Unfortunately, we will never agree on that one around here.
No mercy.
according to Pro Football Focus, the Cowboys have two of the best non-quarterback free agents heading into this offseason, with Amari Cooper listed as the top offensive player and cornerback Byron Jones as the top defensive player. The future of both remains in flux as the Cowboys seem to be prioritizing Dak Prescott's contract situation above these two. So, Shannon, can you see the Cowboys signing both Cooper and Jones?
I can, Skip, but it's going to cost a lot because Jerry doesn't like losing his best players, and he's made it abundantly clear. He's never lost a player that he wanted to keep. And these are he drafted them. Skip, it's unbelievable when you draft a player and you see him, even though they didn't draft Amari Cooper, but Byron Jones, they drafted, and they saw him progress. They moved him from safety to corner, his natural position, and he's been everything that you wanted. Basically, Amari Cooper is your draft pick because you gave him a first rounder to get him.
True.
But you already know, Skip, they're number one priority because the quarterback is going to get the total value of these two guys combined. So that's better be your first priority.
So reading that these two guys were ranked number one on offense, number one on defense just made me sick.
Yeah.
Because it shows you just how loaded my team was last year and went 8-8, and it showed you just how hard it's going to be to sign Amari Cooper and Byron Jones because they're going to get top dollar on offense and defense.
Marcus Peters got 3 years at $42 million, which is $14 a year, 20 in the first year, 32 guaranteed. So what's Amari Cooper looking for? He's looking for $18, $19 million a year, Skip.
Easy.
And so throw in Dak 35 on top of that, Jenny.
Jerry's got the fifth most cap space of any team in the league, and it will all be gone soon.
No mercy. Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Jenny Taft. Join us again at the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports, one of one.